Imagine a journey where the boundaries of your perception blur, where your mind unfurls its hidden corridors, and where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Welcome to the realm of psychedelic medicines, where science meets spirituality and healing transcends convention. This 10-minute talk will lead you on a journey of understanding the profound potential of psychedelic medicines to heal and transform your human experience. Dr. James Leathem is a board-certified anesthesiologist and has devoted his medical practice to treating patients with psychedelic medicines. These are legal and are being used off-label to treat patients with a variety of mental and physical health conditions. Since 2020, as a COVID career pivot, Dr. James and his two anesthesiologist partners have administered over 7,000 ketamine infusions between their two clinics in Arizona. Dr. James has personally administered over 10,000 anesthetics in his career and is a true expert in helping patients to safely and optimally navigate non-ordinary states of consciousness. The objective of this talk is to educate you on the potential that psychedelic medicines have for healing and self-realization. As you may know, I've tried many psychedelics and can personally attest to their tremendous value when administered properly. James' title is Psychedelic Medicines, Catalyst for Consciousness. Please help me welcome Dr. James Leathem. Thank you, brother.
You're looking at the legend of a street pharmacist turned anesthesiologist. Listen up, Genius Network. Classes in session, you ain't about to be dismissed. You see, I turn my personal itch into my occupational scratch. I'm just here to get human consciousness lit like a match. There ain't no catch. Hi, they call me Dr. James. I got psychedelic blood evolution in my veins. I'm here. I came from far away. I'm a luminary now, making moves, influencing brain waves. I've been dreaming about infusions for a long time. Had a vision from Alex Gray, a man of sage down the cosign. Artificially intelligent new AI. I'm your future passive present. I'm a fine line. And I'm the missing link to this illusion. Joe Polish, I am not really here. I'm an intrusion. I don't summa sink. I just float. I don't need gravity. I'm here because my business and the global collective consciousness need growth. Oh, whoa. When I infuse, there's an epic rumble, and I will never fall or stumble, and I don't need to be humble. Break down problems and solve them like Genius Network. Come on. There you go. So if we're going to talk about psychedelics, thank you. What does psychedelic mean? Well, psyche equals mind or spirit. And delic comes from the word delos, and it means to reveal or to manifest. So then psychedelic equals to reveal the mind or mind manifesting. So let's think of the mind as like an iceberg. You have the area above the surface. This is your conscious mind. This is about 10% of our mental processing. These are things such as your logical thinking, analyzing and planning, decision making, and feelings. And then we have the area beneath the surface, about 90% of our mental processing, the subconscious and unconscious mind. Things in your subconscious mind are your beliefs, your self-limiting beliefs, your emotions, your experiences, your habits and addictions. And then in your unconscious mind, you have your unconscious biases, your repressed memories, and your involuntary bodily functions. Like right now, your heart's beating. You don't have to tell it to do that. It's your autonomic nervous system unconsciously doing that for you. Now, I'd be remiss if I talked about consciousness and didn't quote world-renowned psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Dr. Carl Jung. And he had a very famous quote, and it goes like this: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So then how do we gain access to the subconscious, unconscious mind? Well, one of the answers in our talk for today, psychedelic medicines. So why are psychedelic medicines important? Psychedelic medicines are important because nearly everyone knows someone battling some mental health issue. In fact, in the United States, 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness. That's over 50 million Americans every single year. These are things like depression, anxiety, PTSD, substance use disorder, eating disorders, suicidal ideation. Ketamine is the most rapid-acting anti-suicidal agent in medicine, and most people have no idea that it does that. So why does this all matter? Well, it matters because the #1 cause of global disability by the year 2030, just 6 years from now, as predicted by the World Health Organization, is predicted to be depression. Now, we can do better than this. Genius Network, this is a problem. Can we solve it? Let's see. Well, the current treatments available, they're not effective for the majority of people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this mental health epidemic. especially those labeled as treatment resistant. That's trying 2 or more types of medications and not having a positive response. These are things like SSRIs. SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Things like Prozac and Zoloft. They're just a Band-Aid for your mental health. They just mask symptoms. They don't really get to the core of the healing. And then there's things like talk therapy. Talk therapy is amazing if you got Dr. Patty right there with you, but really they're even better if you layer on psychedelic medicines with that as well. So psychedelic medicines provide an alternative option aimed more at healing the root cause through experiential sessions and integration work rather than a Band-Aid approach to mental health. What I'm trying to get you to do is to balance the mind and the heart. I want you to get to the core of what's going on here, balance that mind, body, spirit connection. So what is currently the only federally legal psychedelic medicine in the United States? If you guessed ketamine, you'd be correct. So time for some Keta facts. So ketamine was FDA approved in 1970 as an anesthetic. It's known as a dissociative anesthetic, or the separation of mind and body. Now, ketamine is known as an atypical psychedelic, whereas the classic psychedelics are LSD, DMT, psilocybin, mescaline. Ketamine works on the NMDA receptor as an antagonist. It blocks that receptor. Think of that receptor as a gas pedal, or blocking the gas pedal. Now, ketamine was declared an essential medicine by the World Health Organization in 1985. But it wasn't until the early 2000s that research on the mental health effects of ketamine really started to take off. And as of this talk today, there's been over 140 clinical trials studying ketamine as a treatment for various mental health conditions. And currently in the United States, there's between 500 and 750 ketamine clinics. Now, ketamine has been given billions of times on planet Earth. We know this medicine better than most medicines in all of medicine. And when you give it via IV infusion, it is the most controllable psychedelic medicine experience on Earth. And that's a quote directly from me. Now, ketamine, it's like a reset button for your mind. Ketamine is the key to me, and it might be one of the keys for you. Now, ketamine, why does it work so quickly? It's because rapid neuroplasticity. Within hours of an infusion, we're getting a change in our neural wiring. And it does that by increasing something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That's your brain's own growth factor protein. Now we're going to do a little zoom in here on the screen and look at one of these dendrites, or tree branches essentially, zoomed in. Now your baseline here, you have these little dendritic spines, look little tree branches. And over time with chronic stress and depression, you're getting de-arborization, or losing some of those tree branches. And ketamine helps to restore those little tree branches and get you unstuck from where you're at. Now, ketamine, even 12 years ago, was hailed as the biggest breakthrough in depression research in the past 50 years. But now it's finally starting to go mainstream. In fact, just 6 years ago, Genius Network member Dave Asprey on the Human Upgrade podcast talked about ketamine and its benefits. Also, 2022, Tim Ferriss had Dr. John Crystal on, and he's a guy out of Yale and basically did a lot of the early studies with ketamine for the mental health. And then just last year in the Wall Street Journal, the cover story, the drugs that power tech, ketamine, LSD, and mushrooms. Even Andrew Huberman talked about the benefits of ketamine on his podcast last year. And just 2 months ago, Elon Musk was on Don Lemon's show, and he talked about how ketamine, he's using that for his depression. So are you feeling stuck in life? Do you feel like your mental health is a house and it's on fire? Well, ketamine will likely put that house fire out. However, it will not rebuild the house for you. Only you can do that through the daily practice. Now, psychedelic medicines, they're powerful catalysts for change. So I want you to please consider this. Caution, non-ordinary states of consciousness lie ahead. Now, think of a psychedelic medicine journey. It's like going for a hike. And like any hike, there's different durations, different degrees of difficulty. In ketamine, the infusion, I like to think of it like Camelback Mountain. This is the quintessential hike of Phoenix. Hour up, hour down, pretty controllable. Most people can handle a hike up Camelback. But then we have other psychedelics out there, and they're like hikes up Mount Everest. And while Mount Everest would be great to climb, these psychedelic medicines are very powerful. So I want us to realize that this is a big journey. Things like ayahuasca, ibogaine, heroic doses of psilocybin, heroic doses of LSD, 5-MeO-DMT, mescaline. So I'm just asking the question, which would you hike first, Camelback or Mount Everest? Just think about it. Now, what is a ketamine infusion experience like? You might be wondering. Well, it depends on the dose and the route of administration. It can be very relaxing, it can be profoundly psychedelic or mind revealing, and if you get too much, of course, it's an anesthetic. You're just going to forget it. You can be very dreamlike. It can be very psychedelic or mind manifesting. It might feel like you're floating in outer space. You may have visuals, you may not have visuals. It tends to be very introspective. I want you to go within during the journey. It may seem realer than real. It's like a soft credit check on your soul. At the end of the day, it's ineffable. It is a show you, not a tell you. It's beyond words. So what are some key aspects when considering ketamine infusion therapy? Number one is integration. In order to become great, you must integrate. And to integrate something is to make it whole. And the first part of integration begins with preparation. And a failure to plan is a plan to fail, and proper preparation prevents poor performance. Beyond the preparation, intention really matters as well. And then we're going to move on to set and setting, the mindset going into the experience, and the setting is the environment in which it's taking place. These are called pictures from inside my clinic, where I think I've optimized that healing environment. And we see some music playing right there. I'd love to get some Barry Goldstein and Jason Campbell going through those headphones right there. Dosing discussion, very important. Talk about the dose. The dose makes the medicine. And then who is administering the actual medicine? Is it a physician? Is it a nurse? Has the person actually tried the medicine? Or are they just merely giving you the infusion? Now, ketamine is just one of the pieces of the puzzle. And in life, there's many pieces to the puzzle. So my goal of this talk today was to get you to expand your conscious awareness, making the unconscious conscious, so that you can direct your life and not just call it fate. I want you to realize that you're the first domino. We're all in this room trying to meet dominoes. But what if I told you you're the first domino and you got to get out of your own way? So close your eyes and imagine this. I've helped you find your inner bliss. You've completed your series of ketamine infusions and your subconscious mind is no longer an illusion. My goal for you is to find your inner peace. That's my 10-minute talk, Genius Network. Peace.
That's good. Joe?
Oh, we're almost in time.
Yeah, he's got a can full of...
Come on up here. We got some ketamine for you right here.
There we go.
Now let's see what this audience can do that you just demonstrated so well. First of all, what happened in the beginning?
Hiccup.
Okay, a hiccup occurred. And what did he do? Nothing. He just handled it perfectly.
Thank you.
Because, well, how could you, well, I don't want to do that again. No. Can you do it again? Yes. Do you know your opening so well that you could do it again? And that's what he did. And you handled that perfectly, James. Terrific. And then the rapping. Now, when we first met, you wrote me a rap song. So this is something that he does a lot of, and he's very good at it, and it's different. What do you know that you could use that differentiates you from other physicians like he is in psychedelic medicine? And just like Carolyn, you defined things for us, so there was no question about it. Now his voice, he talks really fast. Have you noticed that? He's kind of, but then when he got to the important parts, he slowed it down. Do you do the same thing? Slowing down or softening your voice drives home the point even more, and you did that terrific. How about the slides? Carolyn had no slides, because she didn't need any. She painted it with words. Did this need some slides? Looking at some of those graphs and charts, it made the message even clearer. And that's what you need to think of. What can you use to drive home the point and make it clearer for the audience so it's impossible to be misunderstood? Everybody got this. If they didn't get it, they shouldn't be in Genius Network, Joe. Then you sold the safety of it. We're talking about taking psychedelics. You know, when I first started working with them on this, I thought, oh my God, what am I getting involved with this for? But the minute I heard 1970 and billions of applications and approved by the World Health Organization, it took away that objection. What are you including in your message to eliminate the objections that your audience could have or preconceived ideas? And that was brilliantly done. Plus you had humor. You had 3 big laughs in there. No jokes, but saying something that was humorous but appropriate, which meant if you didn't laugh, it wouldn't have made any difference. It was still relevant. At exactly 8, let's see, you got into the solution at 3:58. You talked about what it is, you talked about this, now the solution is, what is ketamine and how is it going to do it for you? At 8 minutes, you told us what it was like. And then the closing. He opened with a rap song, he closed with a rap song, and when you hear a great rapper, what do you do when they're finished? Clap. Great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, Joel.